The Messiah is in the Zoom.
Oh, I'm
What are we
sorry.
doing?
I don't know. I
What the
feel
hell are we
terrible.
doing?
He was listening to us talking hockey,
Jesus.
and we should be listening to him talking hockey. Let me introduce him correctly. He's a 6-time Stanley Cup champion. You did it more efficiently than I'm going to do it. It can just be the Messiah, or it could be 6-time Stanley Cup champion, 5 with the Oilers, 1 with the Rangers, guaranteed the 1 with the Rangers, the 3rd leading point scorer in NHL history, and now he has made the 2,500-mile flight again from Edmonton to the real new capital of ice hockey all over the world, South Florida.
Somehow that guarantee didn't jinx the Rangers.
That's right. Somehow it did not.
Look at that hat, by the way. Look at that hat.
Elbow room. The elbow room. Yes.
Tell us about the Elbow Room, Messiah.
Oh, it's a great place to chop up the series and talk to everybody about what's going on. See all the great fans.
That's not all
What are
they're
you laughing
chopping
at?
up.
That's where we do our homework.
That's what we're calling it, homework. Because I've been to the Elbow Room. That place is a special kind of fun dirty.
I love it. It's great to be down by the water. Great people. It's awesome.
Wanted to talk some hockey with you because we have among us, the last time we broke some news from the Elbow Room, Connor McDavid's dad was bought a drink, and a reporter gave him the drink, and Connor McDavid's dad said, "You're not that Greg Cote, are you?" Because we're with Greg Cote, who has said that Connor McDavid is overrated. And
I love the
that is actually funny.
How right he is.
That's a headline. That's a headline grabber.
Thank you.
So how can you explain to him how absurd, how asinine his opinion is?
Well, that's a great thing about sports is everybody has an opinion, and we all get to share it. And it doesn't have to be right or wrong or indifferent. If that's what you feel, that's great. I think he may be underrated, but that's just an opinion as well. I don't know how anybody could call Connor McDavid overrated, but
underrated.
I respect it. I respect the opinion, but that's what makes sports so great is we can sit here and debate it all day and chop it up, and wherever we land, it's great.
Well, Mark, let me explain my opinion and see if I at least have a point here. I've never said McDavid isn't great. I mean, he's the best player in hockey overall, but I don't think he's a two-way. And PK Subban was saying that Barkov is a better all-around player.
You called him an underachiever.
A 200. Yeah, I did. And here's the reason. No.
He's laughing at you.
I think he's an underachiever because for all this greatness, 9 years into his career, he hasn't won a Stanley Cup, and the odds are still long that he's not going to win one again. And I think you don't get to be the top echelon of the GOAT pen without a championship. You've won 6 of them. He hasn't won any yet for all his stats, for all his numbers. Not saying he's not great. I'm saying until he wins the Cup.
He's 27.
I understand, in his 9th year. Until he wins the Cup, he doesn't get to be the best ever. He doesn't get to be McJesus and the next Gretzky and everything else people say, in my opinion.
Well, I think he would agree with you. I don't think he's arguing the fact that through his career he'll want to win a Stanley Cup, or he'll need to win a Stanley Cup to be considered along the greats that you just talked about, Gretzky, Lemieux, Howe, or all the greatest luminaries of our game.
Messier.
The unfortunate part is of team sport is you can't do it alone. I wrote a book exactly that. You can't win. No one wins alone. So of course, the evolution of any hockey player goes through tough times. You have to learn how to win. You have to know how to play. You have to know how to play in tight situations. But it's all just a learning journey for every player, not only Connor McDavid. And sure, did he know everything when he came in the league? No. Has he gotten better as he's gone through his career? Of course he has. Has he learned how to lead better through these times when the team's down 3-0, the world's looking at him? And in my opinion, he's done an amazing job of the leadership. He hasn't pointed a finger. He hasn't complained about anything that's happened. He just gone out there and played hard every game, which is amazing. And then to put on top of it, when your team's looking at you as a leader, they're looking for anything for any sign of resignation or we can't do it, but he hasn't given any of that. So when you talk about underrated, I mean, there's, sure, he hasn't won because he's 9 years, but there's a lot of players that have gone through their whole career and never won because they haven't been in a situation where the team is strong enough to support them. Good teams put special players in position to make great plays at the right time. And I can talk about that firsthand of all the great teams that I played on. Edmonton's got a team this year where they can compete. Now, whether they can win the Stanley Cup this year, I don't know. Well, that remains to be seen. But ultimately, he needs to support, and then he needs to be able to figure his own game out on both ends of the rink, which every player has to. Wayne Gretzky had to. Mario Lemieux had to. Bobby Orr had to. All the greats. And he's going through that process right now. I wouldn't jump to the conclusion that he's myself personally, and this is just a debate, I personally wouldn't call him underrated at this point. I would call him, it's like every other great player, it's a learning curve.
You got a standing ovation at Rogers Place in Edmonton over the weekend. Where are you less likely to have to pay for a drink in public? Edmonton or New York?
Oh, New York, I think.
Well, I tell you, I played 12 years in my home city of Edmonton, which was amazing. I was born and raised there, played my minor hockey there, family, friends, and of course, when the Edmonton Oilers became part of the National Hockey League, I was drafted by Edmonton and spent 12 incredible years. I played with some of the best teams ever, some of the greatest players ever. We had Hall of Famers. But to be able to do that in my hometown was incredible. When I left New York and asked to be traded, or when I left Edmonton asked to be traded, the team was kind of breaking up and it was starting over again. So I told the GM at the time, Glenn Saylor, that perhaps maybe I'd like to go try it somewhere different. And he goes, well, where would you like to go? And I go, I think New York would be a really fun place to play. Living in New York City, the 51 years at the time when I went there, they hadn't won a Stanley Cup. So the challenge was too great to pass up. I don't look at it in terms of not buying a drink. I look at it in terms of the people I've met along the way. It's been an incredible, fortunate journey for me as a hockey player. And here we are years later, almost 30 years later since we won the Stanley Cup in New York. It doesn't seem like that long ago, but wow, unbelievable.
Yeah, but which city, though?
Yeah, pick a city. Pick a city. It's just, you don't have to look at it about buying a drink, but where are you just simply less likely to have to buy a drink when you walk into any local establishment? Edmonton, where you won 5, or New York, where you won 1?
Or the Elbo Room.
Can it be? The Elbo Room, that's it.
No, don't let him out.
Way to go, Cody. Go sit in the penalty box, Cody.
I don't know.
What?
I don't know. I've been treated both. They're tied for first.
You can't say
All right,
both.
that is unacceptable.
Elbow Room was a better answer.
Now the questions are going to get harder. This is from Anderson
Okay.
Cooper's interview on 60 Minutes with a mob informant and the former owner of the Gentlemen's Club Scores, and I quote, "The New York Rangers came to Scores on the night they won the Stanley Cup, filled the Stanley Cup with champagne and shared it with everybody, and then they left the cup. They got drunk and they left the cup." Can you confirm or deny that story from a professional snitch?
I cannot confirm that story. I don't believe I was there, but if I was there, I would have confirmed it, but I'm not sure that happened. I don't think as drunk as everybody might have been, I don't think they would have left the Stanley Cup at Scores.
In 1987, you allegedly brought the Stanley Cup to a gentleman's club in Edmonton, then placed it on the stage where the cup was reportedly used as the prop by the talent. Can you confirm or deny that the Stanley Cup was damaged enough that night to necessitate repairs?
Again, I'm gonna deny that. The cup did have a screw that holds the actual very top of it to the bottom part of it that had come loose, and so we took it to a place where they attached it back on.
Classic Messiah.
Can you tell us the most fun that you ever had in a single season? I don't know whether the last one ends up feeling better than the first one when it comes to championships.
Oh, that's a great. I've never been asked that question before. The most fun of any year. Wow. I don't know. I had a great time that year in Edmonton in 80. I would say 84 and 94 probably the two of the best. To pick one, I'm gonna say 94 only because I was 31 at the time. No, I was 31 or what was I, 32 or 3 at the time. We had a great season enjoying New York City and all its great things it has to offer.
How confusing is it to you as somebody who loves Edmonton, loves Canada? How confusing is it to Canada to have Florida dominate hockey for the last 5 years?
I'm not sure if it's in 5 years, but that you're right about Tampa, and they're included as well. That's a great part about our sport is that the expansion into the southern states and the amount of kids that are playing hockey and getting the opportunity to play hockey and have role models right in front of them. It's what the NHL wanted to do. It's what Gary Bettman's initiative was. It's to grow the game, diversify the game. We've done a great job of it. And we look at Austin Matthews being born and raised in Arizona, one of the greatest players in our game today. Just goes to show you how successful it's been coming into the southern states like Florida and like California, like Anaheim, like Nashville. It's amazing. I don't think anybody looks at it as the geography because we have great Canadians playing all over the world and certainly back down here in Florida as well.
I want to come at this Connor McDavid conversation from a different angle.
All right, let's circle back on that. All right.
Yes, I have my top 5 Edmonton Oilers. I have my top 5 Oilers of all time, okay? Top 5 Oilers of all time. All right, that's what I have.
Okay, so you don't. So we'll find out right now. You're telling Mark Messier.
Yes.
Well, he's got to be on this, right? All right. Let's see where we're going to end up. Let's see where we got to end up here.
Maybe that's why we're having the conversations because I'm not on it, which is okay.
I don't think he's a top 5 Oiler of all time. You are. I don't think Connor McDavid is. Okay?
Whoa!
Yes.
Spoiler alert.
Whoa!
Yep.
That is a spoiler. Go ahead. You're not going to put him in this top 5. Number 5.
Yari Curry.
Number 4.
Amazing hockey player. One of the best two-way hockey players I've ever played with. Could have won the Selke Trophy for the best defensive forward, scoring 70 goals a year, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4.
Grant Fuhr.
Well, you can't win championships without great goaltending. He's got to be on the list.
Number 3.
Paul Coffey.
They're all his teammates.
Well, highest scoring defenseman ever. You talk about the tandem with Gretzky and
I got him.
And Coffey together. Great defenseman.
Number 2.
Mark Messier.
Oh, that bum. I'm not sure about that. I think we can replace him.
Number 1.
The great one.
Oh, wow. No
wow.
Connor McDavid. No Connor McDavid in the top 5.
No Houston Oilers.
Go ahead. Knock off one of your teammates, Mark. I dare you.
I thought Warren Moon for sure was going to be.
Well, what about Kevin Lowe and Glenn? What about Kevin Lowe and Glenn Anderson?
Oh, Glennie Anderson. Glennie Anderson was an all-time great. You can put Moog on the list, too.
All-time great. But the unfortunate part about Edmonton, there's quite a few great hockey players, Hall of Fame hockey players that could be on the list, too. But I'll certainly move out of the way for Connor there as soon as he wins the Stanley Cup. He's going to smash a lot of records in Edmonton. And
so you agree he has to? Thank you.
Boom! We got him, Greg.
I'm not denying that from the get-go, and he won't deny that as well. I think he's well aware of what's at stake in his career. So, but that doesn't mean he's underrated. So I'm with you. Or overrated.
He's definitely not underrated. Are we going to agree?
Mixed properly rated.
Hey, maybe he is underrated.
Maybe he is.
Let's play a little game.
Maybe he is underrated.
Let's play a little game of penalty shot for your life, okay? You have to choose one guy to take a penalty shot. If he converts it, you'll live in. If he's not, unfortunately, you die.
We understand the game.
I'm making sure Mark understands the game.
It's for your life, yes.
Wayne Gretzky, Connor McDavid.
Patrick Kane.
What?
He went off the board!
A shocking answer from the Messiah. Thank you, Mark. Good talking to you.
TJ Oshie.
Pre-game coverage begins 7 p.m. Eastern tonight, ESPN2 with The Point. It features Steve Levy, PK Subban, and Mark Messier. See you later, Mark. Thank you for being on with us.
Thanks for having me on, you guys. Take care.
Thank you, Mark.